Apple's iPhone 14 Pro is said to be the phone that could shake up the iPhone range by potentially bringing in a notably different design from the iPhone 13 Pro. So far, the rumors have hinted at everything from the death of the notch to the return of Touch ID. This is probably well overdue. As good as the iPhone 13 Pro is, it's arguably not a definitive upgrade over its predecessor, and overall the iPhone hasn't taken a huge leap forward since the iPhone 11 Pro. iPhone 14 Pro design. Tipster John Prosser has showcased a suite of renders supposedly based on leaked information which reveal possible big changes for the iPhone 14 Pro. Prosser's renders show a trio of cameras flush with the iPhone 14 Pro's back, but if that sounds nice, you might be disappointed by some rival that show the iPhone 14 Pro models looking a lot like their iPhone 13 counterparts. The raised camera array is back and even bigger on the iPhone 14 Pro. The new phones are also rumored to be 0.2mm thicker than the iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max. Other reports also have the rear camera module tipped to get bigger. The reason for this, according to reliable Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, is that a larger module is needed to house a 48-megapixel camera. As a result, another leak claims the corners of the iPhone 14 Pro will be getting rounder to better match the curved corners of the new module. Perhaps the most notable rumored design changes for the iPhone 14 Pro is the removal of the now infamous display notch. Display analyst Ross Young expects Apple to offer a pill-shaped cutout for Face ID along with a punch hole, so there would be two cutouts. This design is now seemingly locked in according to rumors from Everything Apple Pro. This rumor are given more credence with what appears to be a leaked supply chain photo showing off the display panels for all four iPhone 14 models. Our best look at what all the design changes add up to can be seen in some iPhone 14 mockups posted by Alibaba and shared by Mako Takara. In the case of the iPhone 14 models, you not only see the two cutouts on the front display but the larger camera module. Takara reports that iPhone 13 Pro cases won't fit the iPhone 14 Pro because of that bigger module. Speaking of cases, a claimed case leak shows four iPhone 14 models: the standard iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus or Max, iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max. Not only is an iPhone 14 mini conspicuously absent, but it also shows how the iPhone 14 Pro will be basically the same size as the standard iPhone 14, which we'd expect given it's the same story for the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro. But the iPhone 14 Pro Max will be joined by a larger Apple smartphone in the form of the iPhone 14 Plus or Max. Aside from that, the rears of all four phones look set to be similar to their predecessors, with the Pro mode sporting a trio of rear cameras and the standard phones sticking with two snappers. And a fresh set of iPhone 14 Pro renders based on schematics really do a good job at showing off what the evolved design could look like in metal and glass. They don't reveal the surprise design quirks, but rather give us a good impression of how the pill and punch hole camera Face ID cutout will look like, surprisingly decent as it happens. iPhone 14 Pro display. One of the biggest upgrades of the iPhone 13 Pro delivered was a 120Hz dynamic refresh rate display. Thanks to the use of an LTPO panel, the screen could go from 120Hz to as little as 10Hz when a fast refresh rate was needed, and thus that helps save on battery life. According to some rumors, the iPhone 14 Pro could build upon this and scale down to as little as 1 Hz, reducing the power drain of a display, and this could enable the reported use of an always-on display, long rumored to be an upcoming feature for next-gen iPhones. Boomerang's Mark Gurman has claimed the iPhone 14 Pro will finally get an always-on display, and it will be used to show weather, calendars, stocks, activities, and other data on the lock screen. With a low refresh rate helping preserve the battery life. The revamped iOS 16 lock screen previewed by Apple in June seems to set the stage for this feature. In contrast, the standard iPhone 14 models are now tipped to get a 90Hz display, which would be an upgrade over the 60Hz of the iPhone 13, but not quite up there with the Pro phones. As for screen sizes, according to Ross Young, the iPhone 14 Pro could increase in size from 6.06 inches to 6.12 inches, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max from 6.68 to 6.69 inches. This will apparently be because of rumored similar bezels and new notch design. The iPhone 14 Pro could be the phone many of us have been waiting for, with the Pro models tipped to offer a real evolution of the iPhones we have seen over the past few years. Sure, it's not going to be unrecognizable from the iPhone 13 and iPhone 12, but we suspect these upcoming generations of iPhone will introduce a design language and capabilities that will set the stage for other iPhones to follow. No notch, an always-on display, a bigger megapixel count for the main camera, and potentially a USB-C port could really shake up the iPhone as we know it, and that would in turn have the effect of setting the standard for the other smartphones to follow if they wish to win a spot on our best phones list. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.